and then it's off to a nice start. Why does it have to be all or nothing all the time?
Like, what am I doing? I'm doing it for the show. Field of 68 till I die.
This is the Field of 68 After Dark Show, the only place that you need to be for college hoops every single night. And we are live. Welcome to the Saturday evening edition of the Field of 68 After Dark. My name is Rob Dauster. We are presented by our partners at Bet Rivers. You can find us on Sirius XM channel 84. That is the ESPNU station. You can find us streaming on YouTube, streaming on Twitter. Remember, we are going to be answering questions, so make sure you drop them in the chat. My producer, Dagan Hughes, is monitoring it. He'll be able to feed them to us at the commercial breaks while we are still live here. Tonight, I'm joined by my partners in crime, Clemson's own Terrence Oglesby and Stadium Insider Jeff Goodman. We have a loaded show for you. We're going to be diving headfirst into the Big 12 SEC Challenge. We'll be talking about Duke's and Baylor's struggles today. We're going to be taking a look at some of our risers and fallers across college basketball, and we're going to be joined by Kentucky star Kellen Grady. But before we do any of that, we need to talk about Kentucky's 80-62 win in Fog Allen Fieldhouse tonight. That is the second worst loss that Bill Self has taken at home as a Jayhawk. Jeffrey, what do we make of these Wildcats, man?
286-16. That's what Bill Self is at Fog Allen in his career. And you said the biggest loss was against Texas last year. They only had 2,500 fans in the building for that loss. So this one is the biggest loss of his career. And it came against a team that we still didn't quite know how good Kentucky was. Well, you know what? They're damn good. They are damn good when they're healthy. I think they would have beaten Auburn in Auburn if they had been healthy through that entire game and hadn't lost Ty for 30 minutes, hadn't lost Severe Wheeler for a key 4-minute stretch due to a second, I don't want to say concussion, but a collision from a screen that Big Oscar didn't call out. But listen, the bottom line is this was an absolute shellacking. Absolutely. From start to finish, they dominated this game. They have all the pieces to cut down the nets in New Orleans, all of them.
The only thing I would argue is I don't know about the depth, but it seemed to be this game was about the forgotten man. The forgotten man was Keon Brooks, and Kansas tried to throw a couple of different defenses, and something that I think a lot of people have been thinking about doing. This triangle and two defense with Kellen Grady and Ty Washington and zoning everything else up. In theory, it should work great.
Why would you really? I didn't like it.
Think about it. You have guys inside the paint packed in. Severe Wheeler hasn't been able to shoot it. Ty Washington and Kellen Grady are those guys that can get hot. The rest of them, they're paint oriented. But Keon Brooks, it's like consistently been the fifth guy on the floor. Fifth offensive option.
You're not even guarding him. You're literally not guarding him.
I know. Well, he hasn't proven this year that that's the point. He hasn't proven that he can be relied upon. You're not guarding him. So what does he do? He proved that you need to guard him to go along with your point. 27 and 8. He was terrific. I mean, it came down to him. I was thinking about point guard matchups. I was going to give the edge to Kentucky. The 5-man matchup, I was going to give the edge to Kentucky. The wings in the 4 position, I was leaning towards Kansas. And the fact that he was able to show up and play in the manner in which he played, it was impressive. And they needed that boost. And one other stat, Cal's best teams dominate physically. They offensive rebound 39.1% of their misses. That is an asinine number. That is an insane number for a team that has guys that can hit shots.
Oscar?
I did say Oscar.
He gets every damn rebound. Every damn rebound that dude gets. He is a physical specimen, but beyond that, he plays so damn hard.
Every possession.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, honestly, I love watching him. I love watching this Kentucky team. I really do. I went in the preseason and put him at like number 4, came back from Lexington raving about him. Then you know what? They just hadn't done enough. Now they've done enough, Rob.
Well, you know what the problem was? They were young in their first game. It was a new group. They had never really played together in the environment. And they kind of got run out of Madison Square Garden. They didn't look great in that game. And then they didn't play anybody. And then in their 2 biggest games on the road, they had their backcourt get injured. And once their backcourt went down, you know, you mentioned it, T.O., the depth is an issue. One thing that I don't think gets talked about enough, and I'm curious your take on this, T.O., is that Oscar Tshiebwe's ability to get on the glass as like a one-man wrecking crew on both ends of the floor, it kind of works like they have two people inside on the glass. So you can have one more guy leaking out to try to get out in transition. You don't need to send 3 or 4 people to the offensive glass to get offensive rebounds because you got Big Sheeb in there and he's going to go get himself. It like frees up an extra guy. It's almost like when you have when you have a cornerback that can cover somebody, cover a wide receiver, you don't have to worry about having safety help, right? You put them on Revis Island, something like that. And it's like you have it's like you have an extra player on the court. Does that make sense?
It absolutely makes sense. And Kansas was trying to box him out with 2. And then what happens? Not only does he get what he ended up with 14 boards or 15 boards, Keon Brooks had 5 offensive rebounds because of that.
Yes.
Like they're sending so many bodies at Tshiebwe. He takes up so much attention. He still gets his share. But tonight, Brooks benefited just as much as Tshiebwe did. But guys just bounce off of him, man. It's kind of funny, to be honest with you.
Kansas's bigs stink. They stink. I mean, I've now, like, I hate to say it, but like I've given up on David McCormick. I've given up on him. Now he'll have a game here or there where you start to be like, maybe he's back. And I love Mitch Lightfoot as a kid. I do, but like he shouldn't be playing the 5. Like there's no way. I mean, he's a straight 4-man, period. And he's a utility 4-man at that. Now you got him playing the 5 and playing actual minutes, trying to box out Big Oscar. Like that's not fair to the kid.
He's a useful piece off the bench,
right?
And he's being asked to do more than that. And look, I think I made this point to you privately, Jeff, and I think we talked about this on the DTF podcast, T.O. I think that this is one of Bill Self's most impressive coaching performances of his career, getting this Kansas team to 17-2 before tonight's game. But the guy we need to talk about here is Kellen Grady. I thought that what he did on Ochai Agbaji was incredible defensively. Ochai, we're gonna get into this in a second, but Ochai is one of the few people in the mix for National Player of the Year. We were able to catch up a little bit earlier with Kellen Grady while he was sitting on the team bus, and we were able to reminisce a little bit about the fact that both he and Jeff are from the same state.
When did it all start to click for you, Kellen?
I don't remember exactly when that was, but I'd say about a month before the season actually commenced. And then as the season has progressed and as we got right around Christmas and the New Year, then things I think really started to click. And, the coaching staff and our guys have continued to instill confidence in me to shoot the ball. And, things have worked out and thankfully we're winning. And today was a great statement win. And so it's been a process, but that's why you go to Kentucky. It's never going to be easy. So I'm very grateful that I hit a few roadblocks and had to overcome some adversity in the first couple of months in the fall. It makes where we're at now as a team a little more special.
The other thing when we sat down that struck me was you talking about the chemistry on this team, because you had some old dudes and you had some freshmen, and you're like almost a grandfather on this team of sorts that you've been around a while. But the chemistry seemed real. A lot of guys say that, and I feel like they're full of it. But I felt like with you meant it, that the chemistry is really good with this group. Why?
I think we share a common purpose. And, this is a selfless team. And you can see it was evident today in our game and in every one of our games. You can just see the spirit on the bench and the excitement when every person scores on the court. And I think that a lot of times can be truly indicative of how close the team actually is. There are no egos here. It can be anybody's night. I mean, tonight was Keon's night. He was sensational, and we all couldn't have been happy for him. So we truly are a close team. The chemistry has been great. And I think that has a lot to do with why we're playing so well and just a real together bunch.
So you drew the Ochai Agbaji assignment tonight. He finished with 13 points on 4 of 14 shooting. When you were at Davidson, you weren't exactly known for your defense. So when did that kind of click? And you know, at what point did you realize, okay, look, you know what, I'm rolling. I got this guy locked up tonight.
You know, actually, my senior year, I began to guard the best guard on every opposing team at Davidson, and but that was something that, you know, I improved on over time. And then this year, you know, you got to defend to stay on the court with Coach Cal. That's always been the case for him. And then tonight, you know, Shane Coleman and the assistants decided to put me on Ochai, and you know, he's a great player, probably going to be a first-team All-American. And what we said is, we're not going to shut the guy out, but we want to make everything difficult. I think we did a good job as that. We did a good job with that collectively. It wasn't just me. You know, I switched off him a bunch of times. The guys stayed disciplined. We tried to make him work for all of his points, and we did that. So, proud of our effort overall.
That was a heck of an effort. So you just went in and beat Kansas at Allen Fieldhouse. To me, it's 1A or 1B, the toughest place to play, along with Cameron at Duke. Bill Self is now 286-16 in his career at Allen Fieldhouse. That's ridiculous. What does that say about this team and your national title hopes?
That we can, you know, play the best of the best in a very electric and difficult environment. I thought we proved that also at Auburn. We started up 17-7, and then, you know, we got a little shaken up, and then you had to play with a different lineup for the rest of the game. But we were just excited for this game. We were all smiling right before the tip when you know, the crowd was going crazy, and it was just like, this is what you Cal said something right before the tip. He said, think about how many college players are watching this and how many people would love to be able to play this game. You guys are playing in this game. Just have fun with it. And that's what we did. It was a lot of fun tonight.
Well, listen, Kellen, thank you for joining us. Congrats on the win. Safe travels back home. And just be glad that you're not in Massachusetts having to dig out 2.5 feet of snow like Jeff Ryan is.
Yeah, actually my brother and one of my best friends made the trip out here, and their flight got canceled because of the weather. So
hey, it is brutal.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. But thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Kellen is a great kid, and he really has improved on the defensive end of the floor. We need to talk about Kansas, though. I think we need to go a little bit more in depth on this before we head to our first break. So, Jeff, I'm going to tee you up on this one. How concerned are you about what this team is right now? They're 5th in the country. We mentioned they're 17-3 overall, despite this loss. But I don't think anybody can come out of this game saying that they feel great about where Kansas is headed this season.
You know, I know the game has changed, and I know now it's more about like multi-position, like versatile forwards, right? Like that's kind of where the game shifted to now. And I get it. That's the most important thing. And they have 2 really good wings in Agbaji and Christian Brown. However, I still don't think you can win without solidifying the point guard and the big man spots. And they're both really not good right now. The big man spot, again, McCormick, we just talked about. I don't want to make this a hammer David McCormick show, but he has no confidence right now. He can't finish. He's inconsistent. You have no idea what you're going to get out of him if you're Bill Self. And at the point guard spot, we thought Remy Martin was going to be the savior, right? The big thing Bill Self told me in the offseason was we got to get faster. We weren't able to play fast last year. That's why they brought in Remy Martin for the most part, and Yesufu from Drake, who doesn't play a whole lot. And Remy Martin, I don't know if he's been hurt or whatnot. I know he's been banged up. You could see it with the brace, the sleeve on the knee, but he's still got 10 points in his last 5 games. So, and he's playing 20 plus minutes. So if he's not healthy, he's not helping him when he's out there, period. So I don't know what you do in either of those spots, because I don't care how good your wings are. You can't win with those spots being right now as piss poor as they've been.
I think the 5-man spot is obviously a big cause for concern. And another one, Jeff, to me, I think like if Agbaji doesn't do a good job of scoring 40 points, they're going to have a hard time. Like if you look at their games this season, Michigan State, first game of the year, he went nuts. They obviously win. Texas Tech, dude goes for 40, was spectacular. But they needed him to win in 2 OTs to be that good. I think they're too reliant on him to go along with the point guards have been serviceable. They haven't been great. I think I agree with you there, but the 5-man matchup base tonight is going to be really tough. And when they run into bigs all down the season, it's going to be really tough for them to climb out of some of those mismatches.
Yeah, and the 5 spot is just so important. We've talked about this all season. The 5 spot is just so important for them with the way that Kansas wants to play and what Bill Self wants to do. Listen, we gotta get to a commercial here, but coming up next, we're gonna tell you why Alabama is the most Jekyll and Hyde team in all of college basketball.
You're clear.
All right, Dagan,
Good
we got
tease,
any good,
Robert. Good tease.
I've been working on them, man. I've been working on it.
Dagan,
We got any good questions in the chat? Yeah, I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, again, they got the hard part is in the SEC, they're going to take some losses. But if you can win at Kansas, you can win anywhere.
They don't play Auburn again.
Right.
They're at Arkansas. They have plenty of opportunities to get good wins. And this Kansas win is always going to be great. What else we got, Dagan?
Oh, I can't.
30 seconds.
I'm so excited. I'm flying out Monday. And honestly, I'm just going to hang out. Like Monday night, I could probably watch film with Beard, but I'm not sure I want to. I think I just want to hang out with the fans.
You're going to go out and gin pop and kick it with the Cowboys. I like that. I like
10
that.
seconds.
We need to get a video of Goodman riding a horse with a
5 seconds
of tobacco in.
I'm in.
Here we go.
Welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Twitter. We are live on Sirius XM channel 84. That is the ESPNU station. My name is Rob Dauster. I have Terrence Oglesby here. I have Stadium Insider Jeff Goodman here. And we need to talk about the craziest team in college basketball. And I don't think that's hyperbole. No. Alabama in the same week lost to Georgia and beat Baylor. T.O., what is going on with this team?
They just locked in. It seems to me just mental, guys. Like, are they guarding against Georgia like they guarded today? Because today they were swarming to the basketball. Gosh, they were fast. And I think this doesn't say so much about Baylor as much as it does say about Alabama, because we know their guards have been this good. We've known that. It's just the lack of focus at points during the season that just kind of drive you crazy. But defensively today, I think they showed a lot more just tenacity. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, they're playing in Georgia, at Georgia, probably nobody there. Like, it is what it is. Like, it's tough. But today they were swarming to the basketball. And get this, first official sellout of Alabama's season. Wow. First official sellout of Alabama season. That's nuts with some of the games that they've had at their place.
Yeah, it was loud there. And I just want to kind of go through some of these crazy wins and crazy losses that they have, right? So they lost to Iona and Rick Pitino early on this season. They got whooped by Memphis, a bad Memphis team. They lost to Georgia on the road. They lost to Missouri on the road. They also have beaten Baylor. They also have beaten Houston. And they also have beaten Gonzaga. So I don't know, Jeff, when I say that they're Jekyll and Hyde, nobody plays to the level of competition more than this Alabama team does. Is that when you look forward towards the NCAA tournament, does this make you feel confident in them? Or are you like, yeah, I'm picking them to be an upset first round? Lock it in.
I talked to Nate Oates last night and I asked him that. I'm like, what is going on with your team? And he's like, honestly, like I can't even explain it. You know, they brought in people to talk to these kids. And I still think it comes down to Quinterly. If Quinterly has that kind of energy to him and that swagger to his game, I think everybody feeds off him. You know, he's kind of that guy. And again, they definitely get up for the big games. There's no doubt about that. But how can you lose to Georgia, who is the worst, I think the worst Power 5 team?
Here it comes.
No, but they stink. They stink. And then beat Baylor and Gonzaga in Seattle on the road. But again, it comes down to Quinterly and JD Davison. And those guys were fantastic today. They combined for 34, but more importantly, as importantly, they made shots from the perimeter. And if they can do that, and like Tio said, I think at the beginning, if they come out and defend and are just absolutely junkyard dogs getting after it, they are a tough team to beat. But they're a tough team to beat as long as Quinterly and or JD Davison play well.
I mean, it's always going to be the defensive end with Alabama. How often have we talked about this, Tio? You don't replace Herb Jones. It's not possible to do. John Petty, elite defender. They went from being a team that had all that size and athleticism on their perimeter to being a team that has a bunch of smaller guards, smaller perimeter guys. But I do want to ask you about Baylor, because Baylor's now lost 3 games. They spent the first 2 months of the season looking like they were going to repeat, and they've looked very beatable recently. Is there a flaw with this group? Is this just the natural kind of way that teams grow throughout a season? What's your take on this Baylor group?
Akinjo hasn't been Akinjo that we saw at the beginning of the year. I think that's part of it. He's hurt. He's hurt. That's huge. Obviously, head of the snake is significant for them because he creates that chain of events for them offensively. But another thing too is if you notice the lineups, and was it Jimmy Dye? He talked about it during the game. The lineups for Baylor, like they took Jamwa Chachua out, Flo Thamba out. Alabama enforced their style of play onto Baylor to where they had to adjust and play lineups that they haven't played all that much. They've usually had one 5-man in there that can really guard, but they're so fast. Alabama is. This is a tough game on the road for a Baylor team that's coming back with one of their most important players with an ankle injury. So I think it says a little bit about both, but Alabama's atmosphere tonight was pretty good, and they just imposed their will with their speed.
Yeah, Akinjo wasn't the only guy that was banged up. LJ Cryer did not play, and Jeremy Sochan was he's Sohan. He's been dealing with it. Don't even bother. I just don't.
I'm going to try. I want to help you.
Right.
I want
my
goal
to get it right
is to help you with your pronunciations this year. That's my goal. Sohan. But listen, the other thing is Matthew Meyer needs to be more consistent. He does. We expected so much from him this year. And the maturity, and he worked in the offseason to get his body better and get his mind right. And some days you look at him and you're like, oh my goodness. And then other days you look at him and you're like, oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's playing a different role this year.
Right.
Like he's trying to be more assertive. He's taking the ball and looking for his offense right away. Last year, he let everything come to him. And it's like it came easier for him. He's attacking off catches last year. This year, he'll get a defensive rebound, take off, and look for his own offense, which was uncharacteristic from last season, right? So he's trying to be the man. He doesn't know how to be the man. If he just keep doing what he was doing, his usage rate's going to go up anyway because he's playing more minutes, right? So he's just being a different player than what made him so good last season.
All right, we do need to touch on another game that happened in the Big 12 SEC Challenge, and that was number 1 Auburn beating up on Oklahoma. But that wasn't the only win that Auburn landed this weekend. They locked down their head coach, Bruce Pearl, to an 8-year deal worth roughly $687 billion. I don't think Bruce Pearl's ever going to have to worry about anything the rest of his life. Jeff, what do you know about this contract? What do you know about the way that this deal happened? And why is a guy that's been to 2 tournaments in 7 seasons at Auburn now sitting here with a lifetime deal?
Well, it's not a lifetime deal, but he's told me like this is going to be his last contract. Like he knew he wanted to get paid and really not needed because he's made a lot of money. He was making $4 million this year. So it's not like he was broke or anything like that, but he gets an 8-year deal that's worth $50 million, which makes him the 2nd highest paid guy in the SEC. I think the 4th highest paid in all of college basketball. So he's at 5.4 annually, goes up 250 every year. So this is going to get him, if he stays the lifetime of the life of the contract, it'll get him at 69 years old, and he'll be done
Nice.
at that point. Alan Green, the AD, I think fell for something here to some degree. I mean, listen, Louisville they weren't coming. Maryland, I'm not sure they were coming. And if they were coming, they weren't coming with more than, $4.5 million a year. But listen, if you're Alan Green and Auburn, you probably don't have a choice at this point. You got to pay the man. Just the crazy part is where he was just a few years ago that people thought with the whole a couple times, right? 10 years ago, he's working with me at Sirius. We're hosting the show together, and he's working for HD Hackney, selling, I don't even know what it was. I've never asked him exactly what he was doing and what he was making, but whatever the case. And then a few years ago, he's part of the whole FBI investigation involving Chuck Person, and he gets a 2-game suspension here. So listen, the bottom line is the guy's 113-39 over the last 5 years. He's got a team right now that's number 1 in the country, can win the national title. And in the SEC, boys, it's all about winning.
Yep. And the answer to the question of why is he getting a lifetime contract is because he has the number 1 team in the country, the number 1 player in America in Jabari Smith. And there are 2 powerhouse programs that are going to have money to spend that are going to be interested in trying to hire your head coach. So that's
worth every penny. Worth every freaking penny.
That's right.
That's right. The excitement around Auburn basketball. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yes.
All right. Speaking of programs where there's an insane amount of excitement around them, Goodman, I'm going to you first on this one. Texas Tech picked up a win against Mississippi State. They won by 30. We got to talk about some of these other Big 12 SEC Challenge games. So talk to me a little bit about Tech.
Listen, nobody saw this coming going into the year. I don't care who you say you are. Maybe Texas Tech fans, just because they're insane fans, right? Like they're not even realistic. I mean, most fans aren't realistic. Providence fans today tried to tell me that Providence is a better program than Georgetown. So most of these fan bases are a little bit out of their minds. But, Texas Tech, nobody had them in the top 25 because we thought they got second-rate transfers. We thought Chris Beard got the elite level transfers. Well, now it looks like Mark Adams got some really good. I mean, Bryson Williams is an elite level transfer, right? And he kept some pretty good players, but they're winning without Terrence Shannon. They're winning with Kevin McCullough still being hurt. Mark Adams has done a phenomenal job, a National Coach of the Year worthy type job this year. And again, I'll eat crow. I'll eat plenty of it, and I'll probably end up actually eating crow down in Lubbock in the next few days because I deserve it. I did not think this team would do this year.
All right, real quick, T.O., you got about 30 seconds here, but Texas knocked off your Tennessee Volunteers. I'm sorry to make you have to talk about this, but look, you're a Tennessee guy, right? You're a Tennessee guy. Anyway.
Not a University of Tennessee guy.
Fair enough. Texas knocked off Tennessee. What do you make of it? And what is Chris Beard looking forward to? He had to play his mentor in Rick Barnes tonight, and 72 hours later, he has to go and play at the program.
I heard that too on TV. How is Rick Barnes Chris Beard's mentor?
When Chris Beard started as a manager, it was with Texas.
I thought it was with Penders.
Pretty sure it was with
Penders.
whatever it is. He said it last night on their fireside chat.
I heard that.
Stop
on TV
cutting me
too.
off, Tio. Now you have 30 seconds. Talk
now
to
you
me
have
about
10
Texas,
seconds.
Tennessee. Yeah, now you better quit.
Courtney Raymer was really good. Tennessee's offense leaves a lot to be desired, but Zakai Ziegler is about as fun to watch as you're going to find. Barnes has done a terrific job with small guards throughout his tenure as a head coach. Terrell McIntyre, TJ Ford, DJ Augustine, a lot of guys like that. But Texas, when they show up and they play with energy, they're really good defensively. It depends on which Texas is going to show up down at Texas Tech. That's going to be a great game. I'm thinking about coming down there with you, Jeff.
You're going to come down?
I might.
We're going to go out in Lubbock?
Let's do it.
I might need to bring a disguise, but we will go down to Lubbock and get after it. Listen, for you.
You said you needed a translator. You needed a translator.
No, I got.
If there's anybody who can branch out to the Texas vernacular, it's your boy right here. So
plus all those all those kind of country bars and stuff like that. You can help me figure out like which ones I can fit in and not get my ass beaten out, at or something.
None of them.
You are not fitting in anywhere in Lubbock, Texas, Goodman. I promise you that, but they're going to love you anyways, because that whole week is going to end up being a party in Lubbock. Anyway, we gotta get to a commercial here. Coming up next, we're going to talk about Duke, the struggles they had at Louisville, and whether or not this Cardinal program is going to be able to turn it around. Goodman is going to drop some scoops on the Louisville coaching search.
Good luck.
You're knocking out these breaks.
Yeah, you're doing good.
You're knocking out these breaks. Good for you.
Is something that I've got nothing for. That's the best part.
Hey, don't tell the people on YouTube, man. Don't tell the people on YouTube.
I'll come up with something good.
Oh man, I just had a bunch of questions. We had like 17 people jump. There's Texas Tech fans in the chat.
All right, let's go.
All right, so here's one of the questions I saw earlier. I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was. I don't remember the name. I'm sorry, but they want to know, is Texas Tech now the best team in the Big 12? TO.
Oh, they're close. They're close because they just they guard so well, and they're going to be able to compete with anybody. They're close. I don't think so, but I think they're in the top. I would put them in the top 3, guys. I think I could do that pretty comfortably.
Yeah, I still think that Baylor is the best team in the Big 12. That we haven't seen them. We haven't seen them operating at 100% health in a while. But I do think that Texas Tech is better than Kansas. I just
so you're going to take all your money on the line. You're going to on a neutral court. You're going to take Texas Tech over Kansas.
Texas Tech beat Kansas at home, and they took Kansas to double overtime in Fog Allen. So yes, I'm going to take Texas Tech. Goodman, this question 15. Is for you. It's from TO's guy David Bentley. Do you think with this new contract, Pearl will still be broke after 30 days if he gets fired?
10 seconds.
I guess it was tongue in cheek, but man,
5.
That was a ridiculous comment. Just don't say it.
There you go.
Period.
And we're back. This is the Field of 68 After Dark. We are streaming on YouTube. We are streaming on Twitter. If you are on YouTube right now, please hit that like button and jump in the comments. Join us. We are in the chat. We're also on Sirius XM channel 84. That is the ESPNU station. We got to talk about Duke, guys. They went into Louisville and knocked off the Cardinals 74-65. AJ Griffin, 22 points. It felt like he shot 17 for 17 from 3. I think he ended up 5 for 5. TO, you know a thing or two about shooting. How important is the emergence of AJ Griffin for these Blue Devils?
It's huge because he gives them a consistent 3-point threat, and that's something they've kind of had, but not really had it every game. He's proved that he can be that 5 of 5, and he's never. It's weird. It doesn't look like he's ever really set. His feet are really wide. He shoots the ball over his head. It's kind of strange. He was really, really good. The guy that means the most to this team, though, I think was pretty evident today, is Mark Williams. Like, that guy defensively changes the game. Duke got off to a 24-11 start. He gets 2 fouls. That's when Louisville makes the run, gets back in the game. More he's in foul trouble, obviously, the more it helps. I like Theo John, but he isn't the same rim presence defensively and offensively for that matter.
The only way Duke doesn't advance deep in the tourney is if, again, AJ Griffin has an off shooting night and they rely on that perimeter shooting, right? Yeah. Like, because they have too much. I mean, they have enough that one guy can have an off night and it doesn't really matter. And again, I want to see Mark Williams get involved more, but Paolo's terrific. Wendell Moore does a good job. Now I think Roach is in the starting lineup, but he'll go back to the bench, give him a little bit of depth, and they can play 8 to me with Theo John and Joey Baker coming in, depending on the matchups when you need them. But listen, this Duke team, I don't care what they do from now till the start of the tournament, as long as they're healthy when the tournament starts, you're still going to like them because now, like Tio said, they got a sniper in AJ Griffin.
And another thing too, this was a small thing. Sorry to interrupt you, Dauster, but over the last 5 games, Jeremy Roach, 33 assists and 4 turnovers. He's been great. Did I take that from you? Did I take that from you? I'm so sorry.
To make that point. I got the stats right here.
Sorry. Go ahead. I'll let you re-say it. Sorry.
Well, I look, Jeremy Roach is kind of limited and he is what he is, but the fact that he's able to initiate offense and kind of get things going and get the ball where it needs to be without giving it to the other team is important when you have guys like AJ Griffin and Paolo Banchero and Wendell Moore and Trevor Keels and everybody else can score on this team. What they need is somebody to set them up. And he's never going to be, this all-American elite NBA caliber, whatever.
Doesn't have to be.
Yeah, he doesn't have. I mean, he's doing a very good job at the job that he's asked to do. And it's it is what it is with him. But I was worried about it. I think he's done a pretty good job at this point.
Do you keep him? So here's my question to you. Do you keep him starting? Because he has been so good and now solid there. And do you bring Keels off the bench? I think it might help him in a way.
I honestly like Keels off the bench more because he's a bucket, right?
Yeah.
Like he comes in and he changes the game with the way that he can score. He changes the way that you have to defend. I always like those kind of instant offense dudes coming off the bench. The same way that you can bring someone like an LJ Cryer off the bench if you're Baylor. So I like Trevor Keels in that role a little bit more. Their best 5 is with Trevor Keels on the floor. I don't think that you have to have your best 5 out there for the first minute of the game.
Hell no.
So I kind of like it. I kind of like it. All right. I do have to ask you guys about Chris Goodman. We have had questions in the chat. The whole Kenny Payne, can he get the Louisville job thing has been blown out of proportion. I just want to say this.
Why has it been blown out of proportion? What do you mean?
Louisville fans are all that like it's become just whatever. It's not blown out of proportion. It's just that everyone's kind of fixated on can Kenny Payne get the job at this point. And I think it's kind of ridiculous to speculate on anybody getting any kind of jobs for this at this point, because anybody you want to hire is in the middle of the season right now. They're going to let Mike McGee have his run.
They also have an interim AD who probably is going to hire a search firm because I'm not sure how connected he is to all this, that he feels comfortable making this decision. Will he make it on its own? Remember the one thing too, when Rick Pitino got run out at the end, the big thing he said was the board of trustees has a ton of power and half the board are Kentucky fans. And I heard the same thing from other people. So it's going to be very interesting if that's the case and they are Kentucky fans. Do you want Kenny Payne there? Are you scared of putting Kenny Payne there? Because what Kenny Payne can do is recruit. He can. Like, that's going to be the biggest advantage. If you want to hire Kenny Payne, again, he's super connected to a lot of people who have influence. Not Worldwide West. Worldwide West has jack shit influence right now. But other people, players, he's with the Knicks right now. He's super tight with the Devin Bookers, the Karl Anthony Towns. Those guys right now, they all have influence with who? High school kids. Mm-hmm. You're telling me a call from Devin Booker doesn't impact what a high school kid is? Of course it does. So I think Kenny Payne might be the right guy here for the job. And I never would have said that a couple of years ago. I think Kenny Payne would have to hire a really good staff and get somebody who's obviously been a head coach, a veteran guy who can help him on the bench.
What would be the order? What would be the order of operations there? Obviously, they need an AD.
I mean, you got to give. I guess. I mean, listen, it's happened before, but you have time now, right? You have time to figure out: are you going to promote this guy or not? You don't have a president, so there's a lot to try to figure out before you're going to be able to hire a coach. And the bottom line is, no coach in a really good spot right now is going to go somewhere else that has an NCAA cloud still hanging over its head where they don't know what they're going to get hit with, and they don't know who their AD is going to be. Now, Kenny Payne, I still say, would walk from New York. If you told him right now, hey, Kenny, I know there's a lot of snow on the ground, but throw your boots on and get your ass to Louisville. And he'd be like, all right, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, so the one kind of silver lining in Chris Mack walking, and I'm torn in how I feel about the decision that Chris made, and the position that he kind of put his players and the staff in. The one silver lining for Louisville, like you said, Jeff, is they have now plenty of time to figure out what they're going to do in this spot. Tio, I want to ask you about Michigan State and Michigan. The Spartans rolled in the second half. They won 83-67, and they made a little bit of a statement. I thought that John Crispin on ESPN made an interesting point in that we always want to talk about the talent and the prospects and the guys that could end up being at the next level. We never celebrate the great college basketball teams that have a bunch of dudes that figure it out and play above what the sum of their parts is. And I think that's what Michigan State is right now. Because if you look at their roster, like they got a bunch of guys that you're like, yeah, he's fine. And they put it all together and they're winning a lot of games.
Yeah. And they have a bunch of different guys that can do it. I would argue that Max Christie has some of that NBA flair just because he's young, he's long, he can shoot it, he's skilled. But Gabe Brown has stayed there and been, he's been up and down, but this year he's been pretty consistent. He only had 9 today, but what does this say? This says that Izzo's getting his guys to guard at a high level. I mean, goodness me, Hunter Dickinson still hasn't figured out how to pass out of a double team. But at the same time, like, Michigan State's good. Like, they're just rugged. They're good. They're big on the wings. I think they're good because they have bodies and length on defense, and they try to play fast. And Hogard has been a pleasant surprise. As much as we've talked about point guards being they have been up and down. They have been up and down. But he has games where he's good. Tyson Walker has games where he's good. And Joey Hauser was finally good today. So, you know
what Izzo said the other night? This is what I'll go back to every time. So they were in Champaign. They lose to Illinois without Kofi, without Curbelo. Mm-hmm. The point guards look atrocious in that game. And he said it best. He did. He said it best in the postgame. He said, we are consistently inconsistent. That's what Michigan State is. That's why you can't completely trust them. Now, again, Izzo has done, like Rob said with Bill Self, Izzo has done an incredible job with this group maximizing what they have, but they're going to lose games, maybe like Northwestern, like Illinois and Champaign, without its arguably 2 of its top 3 players. But they can beat some good teams too.
Yeah, they're when they're at their best is when they have either one of AJ Hogard or Tyson Walker is playing well. They need one of those 2 guys to be really good on any given night. And on the nights when they're not good, they're going to do things like lose at home to Northwestern without Pete Nance. That's not a pretty loss, but they're still right there in the mix when it comes to the Big Ten regular season title race. So you got to give them credit for that. All right. We had some other games in the top 25 that we need to discuss. Illinois struggled a little bit with Northwestern on the road. They ended up getting that win. Xavier used a 29-2 run to open the second half to come from behind and beat Creighton on the road. Arizona shot 3 for 23 from 3 and still found a way to knock off Arizona State. And Villanova beat the doors off St. John's. UConn went into DePaul and didn't play well, but came away with a win. Tio, what was the game that you were most impressed with? What team did you come away thinking the best about?
And you just threw a lot at me there. You know what? I like the win. It's Arizona State when you don't shoot the ball well. And Arizona State's, they're not great this year, but you still have to generate enough energy. Rivalry game. Kirk Kriisa hit a shot and then kiss the floor, fires everybody up, then kisses people in the audience. The ultimate swag guy. You got to love somebody like him. There's just so much good basketball today. I mean, I love this Arizona team. I know they struggled against UCLA away, but man, they have a lot of tools. I'm going to go ahead and stay with the Wildcats there just so I can take it away from Jeff.
No, you know what I got? I'm going to stay out west. I'm going to go with UCLA pounding Stanford at home without Johnny Juzang. Absolutely pounding them. A Stanford team that needed that win desperately. They've got 2 good wins against USC. They've swept them. If they had gotten this win in Pauley, you'd be talking about Stanford having a chance. Again, they're not on the bubble, but they're not far off the bubble. And instead, UCLA without Juzang absolutely crushes them. Tiger Campbell plays really well. I like this team. Again, they were kind of the forgotten team before that Arizona game. They get them again on Thursday at McHale, another game I'll be there for. I'm not stupid. I'm going to Texas and Arizona while there's a 3-foot blizzard going on here.
Yeah, you're right about UCLA. That what they were able to do the last couple of games. I think that they really needed those fans back to kind of give a little bit of enthusiasm to them. You know, it's hard to sit out for a month and then come back and be playing in front of a bunch of empty seats.
How about Xavier on the road?
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Good
Xavier was down 17 at halftime at Creighton, who's a tournament team in a building that was filled, an NBA-sized arena that was completely filled, came back from 17 down to go up by 10 before Creighton scored their second basket of the second half. Really impressive. I think, you know, I kind of went in on UConn last night, but I really do think that the Big East has 5 teams at the top that are all good enough to beat the hell out of each other, to win the conference regular season title, and to make a run to the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight. The top of that league is really good, really balanced, and really, really fun. And I cannot wait to see see the way that it plays out. Yeah.
Is Providence a better program than Georgetown?
I don't need these Providence fans coming after me anymore, man. They're all over me. But are they a better team?
No,
Yes.
no, that's not what I asked.
Is it a better job?
Right.
Georgetown is a better job. I don't
you.
think that it's really
An argument.
really all that close. We could at some point we're gonna have a long conversation about what Georgetown needs to do to get back, but we don't need to do that right now.
No,
because coming up next, we're gonna be telling you about our stock risers and our stock fallers when it comes to college basketball
here we go.
in the month of January.
How about the first 10 minutes of that Xavier? Listen to me. Xavier. Big East guy. Dude, 24-2 in the first 10 minutes of the second half. 24-2.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
All right, guys, we got some questions.
All right.
I think this is an interesting one. Let's pretend that you're Coach Cal.
Okay.
If Shaedon Sharpe wants to play, would you play him at this point? T.O., I'm going to you first.
No, I wouldn't. T.O.?
He's too talented not to. You got to
No,
figure it
because
out.
then you lose him. You're going to lose him for next year if he plays, because either he's going to do too much or not do enough, and he'll be gone. The only chance you got of getting him for next year, and I think he might leave anyway, is don't play him. And you're winning right now. You got it rolling. You got roles to find. You got good chemistry. Don't play him.
There's something to be said there. I agree now.
Yeah, it's the chemistry thing is the big.
I agree.
The chemistry thing.
You completely changed my mind. You completely changed my mind.
Yep.
Because I'm Coach Cal. I was Coach Cal there.
All right, so let me ask you guys this: if you are Missouri, are you moving on from
30 seconds
Martin this offseason?
You can't. You owe him too much money. I think they've actually shown some fight here over the last couple of weeks. They actually have. So he's changed the lineup a little bit. I would keep Gonzo for one more.
Isn't he? He's from that area. They made the tournament last year.
10 seconds.
People forget. Yeah, people forget that COVID year actually happened.
5.
It's a real thing.
That's right.
Here we go.
We're back. It is the Field of 68 After Dark. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Twitter. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you hit that like button. You hit that subscribe button. Maybe jump in the comments, leave something, ask a question. We have the Field of 68 After Dark Afters coming up next. We're also on Sirius XM Channel 84. That is the ESPNU station. Rob Dauster, Terrence Oglesby, Jeff Goodman. We're going to do a little bit of stock risers and stock fallers. T.O., I'm going to you first, man. In the month of January, I need your biggest riser. Who has been the team that has impressed you the most, that you feel better about now than you did on January 1st?
UCLA. I know that's probably an easy one, but they took such a long COVID pause and Christmas break that I forgot completely about them. And that shellacking that we alluded to earlier against Arizona was big time performance. And that Stanford team with Harrison Ingram, they've been playing well. I think they've surprised a lot of people. They have some young guys that are getting it done there, and they just beat the heck out of them. Stock up, UCLA. Stock down. Are we going to that right away?
No, we're not. We're going to work.
Okay, so I'm going to say I'll just go to Jeff. Sorry.
Yeah, come on, T.O. I'll tee
I'm
you
just
up, man.
I just ruin it.
This thing. I'm running this thing. I'm the point guard of this show. I'm your Jeremy Roach. Come on, man. Jeff.
I'm not used to passing. I'm not used to passing.
Yeah, you're not a good passer. Jeff, what do you got? Who's your stock riser?
I mean, don't you have to go Marquette here? Like they've come out of nowhere And look at who they've beaten too. I mean, that's the thing. They've beaten kind of a who's who of the Big East lately, right? Villanova, Xavier, Seton Hall twice, Providence. These are all the best teams for the most part in the Big East right now. I'm not counting Georgetown and DePaul because those are kind of the toilet bowls of the Big East right now. But yeah, I think you got to go. Shaka's done an incredible job. Justin Lewis has been, honestly, to me, the most underrated player in the entire country. Morcell's been awesome. Marquette to me is the biggest riser.
Yeah, Marquette was the one that I was going to go with. I'll throw Oregon out there. I know they just lost to Colorado, but they have those 2 wins at UCLA and at USC. They're beating up on Oregon State right now. They're back. They're relevant. I hope they get in the tournament because they are a team that's going to be dangerous if you can get them as a 10 or an 11 seed. I do want to ask you guys this because you kind of alluded to it a little bit, Jeff. Shaka Smart, Mark Adams, Bruce Pearl. Right now, you got to make a decision. Who is your national coach of the year?
I think you got to go Bruce Pearl. I mean, they're number one. I didn't have them in the top 25 in the preseason. Again, I blame Bruce for that because he told me their point guard situation was very questionable. He didn't alleviate any of my concerns on the point guard spot. So I didn't put him in the top 25.
And, you know what's funny about that, Jeff?
Yeah.
On our season preview show, I put Tio on the spot and I told him that I needed his preseason Final Four projections.
Yes.
He forgot that Alan Flanagan was hurt. And he didn't know the thing. He didn't know the thing about the point guards. And he was like, "Yeah, I got Auburn going to the Final Four." And then when we were done, I was like, "Yeah, Bruce Pearl doesn't like his backcourt, and Alan Flanagan's hurt." And Tio's like, "Oh God, I can't remember this."
I remember Tio hearing this. He's like, I screwed up. Well, now Tio, you're looking pretty smart.
I'm looking pretty smart. I figured they took enough point guard transfers. Somebody was going to work. That was my logic there. Like Katie Johnson can play some point. He's not a point, but Zepp and Wendell, man, they've been so good. And they might have the best front court. They're in the top 5 front courts in the country, no question.
Mm-hmm. The only other name that I would throw on that list that we haven't mentioned yet is Tommy Lloyd at Arizona, walking in, taking over a new job, implementing a new style of play, and being as good as they have been. Tio, who would you go with National Coach of the Year?
I think we're forgetting Kelvin Sampson.
Yeah, I'm with you. Listen, I'm with you 100% on that because look at their record. He's done an incredible job losing 2 starters. Mm-hmm. But when you look at who they've beaten, that's the only reason why I wouldn't give it to them. They're like playing the Sisters of the Poor.
Yeah.
Every night it feels like.
But they should have beat Alabama.
Yeah. No, listen, again, they've done an incredible. Kelvin is no question one of the best coaches we have in college basketball. But the AAC is like, honestly, it's like a mid-major league right now.
I would go with Shaka. I'd go with Shaka. 100%. I just think Sampson deserves some consideration because, I mean, think about it, guys. Whoever's watching this show, I don't care what team you root for, take away your 2 top scorers.
Oh, you've no shot. No chance.
No
They're undefeated in their league.
It's incredible. Like he deserves to be, recognized for that.
Totally.
But I think Shaka, what he's done in year 1 of Marquette, like coming out even early in the season, like getting a bunch of guys to come together so fast, like that guy. They're playing well. What a job Marquette is too. Like perfect for him.
Yep. And what a game tomorrow. We're going to get Marquette at Providence. That place is going to be rocking. All right, stock fallers. T.O., who you got?
I don't want to be kicked off this show because our producer is going to be real mad at me. And I'm real mad at myself. But Seton Hall, I was a huge fan. Dauster, you know this. Jeff, you know this. I loved Seton Hall at the beginning of the year. Loved them. They've lost 4 or 5. They haven't been able to figure out what was happening prior to their COVID pause. And it's tough. I mean, obviously they go and win at St. John's, come home and lay an egg in a really cool atmosphere where you would have thought guys would have brought energy, and they just didn't bring energy. Bryce Aiken means so much to that basketball team because he is that change of pace guy that can get where he wants with the ball. And it's a bunch of big physical dudes. Without Aiken, you don't have that burst of speed, that burst of quickness. And it's going to be hard to get him back in the mix, too, as soon as he does come back.
I'm going West Virginia. They've lost 5 straight. Listen, they're good. 5 good teams. I mean, it's not – you're losing at Kansas, Baylor, at Texas Tech. Now you've lost to Oklahoma and at Arkansas, two teams that maybe you're hoping to at least win one of the two, if not both. I just don't think Huggs' team is very good. Their point guard play is questionable. But if you add Big Oscar on this team, I bet you they don't lose 5 in a row. That's all I'd say.
Yeah. 100%. So if they just added the guy that might be the national player of the year, you think they'd be better?
Yes, I think they'd get a few more rebounds.
Wow, what a take!
Yeah,
Goodman,
big take.
You're really stepping out on a limb. I'm going to need you to reel it in a little bit. We have credibility that we like to keep on the show. Okay, my stock faller is LSU. Yeah. I think that they are. It was USC.
Call him a fraud. Call him a fraud, Rob. Come on, call him a fraud.
I don't like calling people frauds.
I call you a fraud all the time.
I know. That's why I don't want to be anything like you. I thought USC was the most overrated team in college basketball when they were the number 5 team in the country. I think we all kind of saw that unless your name is Sean Miller. But LSU,
wow, taking a shot at Sean Miller.
but LSU to me right now is the team that I just don't trust. I do not see it with them offensively. I think that what made them so good early in the season is that they use their length and athleticism and physicality to overwhelm teams, force turnovers, get out in transition, and now they're going up against better teams. They can't get all of that stuff in transition, which is why you're seeing their offense go down the toilet. T.O., where do you stand on this LSU program?
They can guard, but when teams can score a little bit or have a guy that can get loose, like what is it, Mike Miles can do at TCU, that's going to be hard. And you got to be able to score it. Like in the SEC, you got to be able to freaking score it.
Goodman, I want to circle back real quick on something that you said before when you were talking about the West Virginia program. You said, and I quote, and we have the audio on this one, that Arkansas is a good team.
I did.
Yeah, you said Arkansas is a good team.
They are a good team. Remember, I was just saying. Remember, like Arkansas fans thought they were like a top 10 team at one point, and I was like, I can't put you in the top 25 because you haven't beaten anybody. And I knocked them out of the top 25 and they went bananas. And then they lost like a bunch straight and fell off the planet. Now they're back because they've beaten a bunch of okay teams. But Arkansas fans, don't celebrate too early because Robert, go ahead. You want to read them? You want to read them their schedule towards the end of the year, or you want me to do it?
Yeah. Do you have it in front of you? I'm trying to bring it up right now.
I got it. February 19th on. Is that what you're alluding to?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, February 19th, Tennessee at home, at Florida, Kentucky, LSU, Tennessee.
Yeah, you better win these. You better win these. The bottom line is you're probably not on the right side of the bubble. You're probably right on the bubble right now. And you got that coming. So you got chances. I just don't think you're all that good. I think your coach is really good. But I don't think your talent's good enough to go through a run like that and come out.
Well, that's without mentioning Auburn and Alabama on February 8th and 12th. Sorry.
Yeah. Here's the thing about it. Arkansas is going to have a chance to prove themselves as we get down to the end of the season, just like you guys had a chance to prove yourselves as we got down to the end of the show. This has been the Field of 68 After Dark, live on YouTube, live on Twitter, live on Sirius XM, channel 84, the ESPN news station. For Terrence Oglesby, for Jeff Goodman, I was Rob Dauster. Thanks for being here.
You're clear.
All right, gentlemen, it is the Field of 68 After Dark Afters. It's everybody's favorite part of the show. We got questions coming in from the chat. We got conversations that we need to have. Do you want to do the player of the year stuff now? Do you want to talk through that now?
Do people want us to do the player of stuff now? Let us know in the chat. If you want us to talk about the National Player of the Year, the wide open race that is the National Player of the Year, weigh in right now in the chat.
So first question I got here from is from Matthew Brown. I'm going to go to you on this one, T.O., because these are your teams. Do you like Wake Forest over Notre Dame or Miami right now? Let's take Duke out of the equation. Who is the next best team in the ACC right now?
I think Wake Forest is, man. Fighting Steve Ford. They got that. I know they got thumped up at Syracuse today, but Syracuse is Syracuse. They're going to win games they're not supposed to. They're going to lose games they're not supposed to because that zone is just insane. But They just have so many weapons. They have length on the perimeter. They can really guard. And Isaiah Musius has found himself this season playing alongside probably the best player or the best transfer in the country, Alondas Williams. I like this team. And Jake LaRavia is a stud too. All around, I think Wake Forest is really good. Plus they guard, which is not something that Notre Dame has really done consistently.
Yeah, I think I actually like Miami. I know how crazy that sounds. And I'm in on this Wake Forest team. Give me Steve Forbes and Alondas Williams. Give me that combination of two people in one program, and I think you're going to have a lot of success. But I love Miami's guards, man. I think that they're really, really good. They are basically 2 points away from being undefeated in the ACC. Is that right? It's the 2-1 possession losses to Florida State. And without that, they are sitting there undefeated in the ACC. So I like them, man. They got a bunch of guys that are almost as old as you, T.O., in their backcourt. All right, Goodman, I got to hit you with this one. This is from Eric A. in the chat. Is this the year that Bobby Hurley finally ends up on the hot seat at Arizona State?
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously they've been bad these last 2 years, really bad. Last year being one that, again, the pandemic. Prior to that, people don't realize how bad a job Arizona State is. And I say that as an Arizona alum. Okay. So, like, I don't want to defend Arizona State and the Scum Devils at all, but I'm going to, in the sense that they did not have much success for like a 30-year period. And he had them going to 2 tournaments and en route to a third. So I'm going to give him a break here and say next year he'll have some heat on him for sure. And if he can get out of there this year, he and the AD aren't great either. So he probably needs to get out of there if he can after this year.
They don't even keep the lights on at that place. No, that's not his fault.
No lights.
It's ridiculous. Sorry.
All right. I'm going to you on this one, T.O. Isaiah Brockington needs more love. True or false?
True. He's never scored at the level he's scoring right now. And dude guards, plays hard, perfect fit there at Iowa State, kind of rejuvenated his career, was always a good defender at Penn State. But man, his offense has turned a corner. I agree with that. He definitely deserves more love and some all league consideration.
Yep, absolutely. He leads the Big 12 in rebounding.
Does he
know that?
Wow.
No.
That's according to Alex Burngard in the chat right now. So if I'm wrong,
making that up.
I am just reading directly out of the chat. Alex Burngard could be lying to me. If he's lying to me, then I got. All right. But if it says, look, anything that is said in the YouTube chat, you could take as gospel.
You probably did get got.
I'm all right with that. It's not the first time. All right. I have another one. I just lost. All right. We're going to do quickly just a couple of picks here. Right now, Providence, Marquette in the dunk. It should be sold out. There's going to be a lot of cold and drunk Providence fans in that building. Who wins? I need picks from both of you guys.
Go ahead, T.O. You could start.
I'm going Providence because that is going to be an atmosphere. I'm going Providence. If they take care of the ball and Nate Watson has a better game than what he's been playing, I think that's huge. I think physically, they've already played, right? I don't have the score right in front of me.
Yeah, Marquette won by 867 points.
It really was.
Yeah, but I think that atmosphere tomorrow is going to be awesome, and John Fanta's calling the game, so that's helped out Providence this year significantly.
And Providence is the luckiest team in America, so I feel like they're going to find a way, to get some luck. Maybe with Fanta being there, their record with Fanta there, by the way, Cooley's record. I still think he has not lost or something like that.
That's what I'm saying.
It's 9-0. It's 9-0. Yeah. Well, that's why I'm going with Providence in this spot.
The Fanta effect.
It's the Fanta effect. It's a guaranteed win. All right. This comes from 82 Atlantic. Can SMU get an at-large bid? I'm going to run through their resume really quick for you in case
they're not far off.
They are 16-4 on the season. They are 7-1 in the American. They have one quad one win, which is at Memphis. They've lost at Oregon. They lost at Cincinnati. They have not played a top 50 opponent this year. They have one quad 2 win that is at Tulane. They have 8 quad 3 wins, and they've lost to Missouri on a neutral and Loyola Marymount on a neutral. I'm going to say they're nowhere near the bubble at this point.
I'm going to say they're not that far off, but they're not. They have
to beat Houston. They cannot lose another league game, and they have to beat Houston.
Yeah, I think you're probably talking about a team that's not in the first 4 out, but in the next 4 out right now. The crazy part is, again, like if you're in one of those good leagues, you can make up ground so quickly with like a good 3-game stretch. But SMU, like you said, the only team you can beat that's a resume win is Houston. Everything else, if you lose, you're absolutely crushed. So, yeah, I think it'll be hard for SMU.
Yeah, and for anybody watching right now, we're launching a new show on Monday. It's going to be streaming live Monday at 6 p.m., Friday at 6 p.m. It's called Fielding the 68. It's going to be hosted by the guys from 3 Man Weave. It's going to be hosted by Greg Waddell of Sleepers Media, and we have the best, unequivocally the best independent bracketologist joining us. Ignore Joe Lenardi. You don't want to hear from him. Jerry Palm, look, I love him, but no, we're look.
You got to be tired of those old dudes.
Yeah, we got the guys. And I don't, Dagan, you can tell me whether or not we should do this, but I kind of want to let it be a surprise because we got some names that people in the college basketball realm.
No, let's wait. Let's wait.
Absolutely, you're going to know. All right, so we got another question in here. It was I'm sorry, I'm so bad at remembering who asked the questions. It was Purdue or Ohio State tomorrow, but I kind of want to expand that a little bit. It feels like, Jeff, people are forgetting about Ohio State at this point because they haven't played that many big games recently. It seems like they've kind of been a little bit out of sight, out of mind. How do you feel about these Buckeyes? Do you still think that they're good enough to make a run? I know we talked a little bit about player of the year stuff off air. And I know you still have EJ Liddell 100% in that conversation. So how do you feel about the Buckeyes?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think when you talk about the best players in college basketball, you have to have EJ Liddell in there. To me, the problem is your point guard play is just average, and Malachi Branham's still a freshman who's trying to figure it out, right? Like he's still up and down. So without Justice Suing, and I don't know when he'll be back, if he'll be back, you know, I just think there's kind of a cap on what Ohio State can do. They can beat some good teams, but I think against Purdue and that length, especially with Zach Edey, that's where Liddell has some issues.
100% agreement. I don't really have much to add to that. He hit it all on the head. Ohio State's fine. I think there's levels to this, and especially it's in West Lafayette. Go ahead and give me Purdue.
Yeah, I think Purdue will probably win this game. I'm in on Ohio State though. I do think that there's a little bit of a ceiling. They're sitting here at 13-4, 6-2 in the Big Ten, which means they are. I don't know how you phrase this in the college basketball realm, but they're tied for first place in the loss column in the Big Ten, if that makes sense, right? The Illinois is in first place with 2 losses. Michigan State is 7-2, Wisconsin 7-2, Ohio State is 6-2. So they're right there in the mix for a Big Ten regular season title, and it feels like no one's talking about them.
For what it's worth, I think Malachi Branham is really stinking good, and I hope he stays.
He is really good.
He is really good. I hope he stays. Like, but I mean, guys have a semi-good year and they feel like they got to get out of town.
Boy.
Stick around, dude. Stick around, please.
He is the perfect guy for NIL stuff, right? Because he goes to Ohio State, which is a big program with a big fan base. And I know a lot of that is football, but there's still a lot of people that care about the basketball program there. And it's probably very easy to make sure that he's got enough money in his pocket that could at least match like what he would get as a two-way or a G League guy if he came out. Maybe not match it, get you to like 50% of it. You get 50% of it at Ohio State and you can come back and you got a chance to play your way into a much higher draft pick while being a superstar at Ohio State. That's a pretty good life, man. So he's the kind of guy that I think would have a chance to maybe hang out for another year if he decides to return to school. So got anything else? Oh, I got another one for you. We did have a question. Does Mike White get fired if Florida misses the tourney?
Hell no.
But I don't think he will either. But T.O., I know that you had some stuff teed up and put together about this Florida team. So I wanted to make sure that I asked you about that game because we can't let that prep go to work.
No. You're fine. You're fine. No. Yeah, ton of prep there. No, I just think there's some resolve there. It's an old team. We've seen it with all these teams that go heavy transfer. Like, is it top end talent? Is it there? I think it's debatable everywhere you look when it comes to that stuff, whether it be Texas. We've had these discussions about Kentucky, though. They're figuring it out. Like, is that top end talent really there? But they showed some resolve today. They gritted it out. They held a 2-0 lead and didn't lead again until 9 minutes to go in the game. And they were down 13 at half. So they've got some grit to them. They've got some guys that can score it. Getting fired, Mike White, what? No.
He's too likable.
He's
and
like
Florida's still a football. It's still a football school,
Yeah.
so there's not as much pressure on Mike White. As long as you stay out of trouble, you're a good dude. You win enough. What I want to ask T.O., Rob, I know he was kind of tweeting in there about Louisville a little bit in the Chris Mack situation. I want to hear T.O.'s take on because I think everybody's kind of all over the place with this thing in Chris Mack. Like, is he at fault? Did he quit on the team? And again, this is hard for me because I am close with Chris Mack and have been for years, but I also try to be very objective when it comes to all these things. Do I think he should have quit? Probably not. But I actually think, and I told Rob this before, I think it's the best thing he did for his players. Because if you're not all bought in, get the hell out of there. Like Turge, same thing. Like Turge wasn't going to help those kids in that program and that team this year. If you're not bought in, fully committed, let Mike Pegues be bought in and give him that opportunity. And he's going to bring a positive attitude. Chris Mack looked like he was checked out. So you know what? Go away then.
Yeah. And I'm with you. I also sympathize with why he was frustrated. I mean, look at all these things like interim AD, no school president, no backing. You knew when he took the job, he was going to deal with this NCAA nonsense.
Yep.
And it's hurt recruiting. They had one good recruiting class with Samuel Williamson and all those guys, and they didn't pan out. Fine. But he's still getting hurt he was still getting hurt because he couldn't recruit. Like Louisville is capable of recruiting because of all these things hanging over his head. So what does he do? He goes the transfer route. And then you see the negative effects of the transfer route.
Yeah.
Because you got to put all these bodies together, and some of them might have not been perfect guys for the kind of guy that he needs to coach. And then he has to miss the first 6 games of the season. So in those 6 games, they get used to the other guy. He was set up to fail.
Well,
and Chris Mack can coach.
Yeah. The school didn't back him for bullshit. The school didn't back him for a bunch of bullshit is my biggest problem is, to me, you suspend him for not having somebody from human resources in the room when you fire Dino Gaudio. And ultimately, Dino Gaudio has nothing on you. He's got, the biggest thing he can throw out there is GAs on the court and personalized recruiting videos. I mean,
who cares?
And Matt can coach when he's locked in.
No doubt.
If he's locked in, he's one of the best coaches in the country. I think it was the right move. I think it was a good move. Maybe not the right move, but a good move for everybody involved.
I would quibble with the right move, just because you get paid a lot of money. You made promises to those kids. You made promises to their family. Yeah. The bottom line is you walked out on them. Now, it's totally understandable why he was frustrated, why he felt like it. Every single person on the planet is stressed because of what we've gone through over the course of the last 2 years. Though, in the fact that you were in a high pressure job, in a high stress environment, in a place that cares about this sport more than anything else. With no backing. But he still walked out the door and quit on the kids. Now, you can say that it's better for them long term, and I don't necessarily disagree, but it's there's a lot more context to it than saying, "Oh, Chris Mack quit," or
there's so much more.
It's going to be in the middle. There's a lot of gray area there, and there is a middle ground that we need to get to on it. But I think anybody that has a sour taste in their mouth about the way that he left is probably justified, and I think that anybody that cannot relate to the fact that it was not going well and he was stressed out probably needs to have a little bit more understanding in their life. There's a middle ground there. All right.
Can I throw one more thing in? Okay,
go ahead.
Like this argument that coaches used to have, like, hey, players need to fight through adversity and figure it out. That argument's gone. Like, there is no more of this argument because it's like, coaches no longer. Like Turgeon quits at the beginning of the season when things, obviously they're hard, and he's like the brunt of all the criticism of Maryland. Mac leaves, and I'm a huge Mac fan. He leaves, and there's something to be said. We talked about transfer portal. A lot of the argument for coaches, when are they going to stick it out? No more. Like, you can't say that anymore because now coaches are leaving right in the middle of the season. Like, you completely lose me with all of those things. So now freedom of movement everywhere. You lose your argument as far as all that's concerned.
All right, let's get to 3 cheers. We have producer Dagan. He was just yelling at us saying that we got to get ready to go. So, and you don't want to make Dagan upset. Dagan is a ruthless individual.
It's like a dictator.
He's a Seton Hall fan. He's in a bad mood for the past God knows how long.
Very good point. A miserable human being over the last few weeks. No more miserable than Kevin Willard, though, Dagan. So don't worry.
Yeah. All right. So Goodman, let's go to you first on this one. Give me your cheers, or 3 cheers of the night.
My cheer is going to be a guy who took over a program that was 0-18 in league play when he took it over. And he has slowly, he's in year 3 right now, built it up. And they had a huge win today against a Wichita State program that isn't great, but you know what? Wichita State's Wichita State. They got a ton of resources. It's the game in town. And Ron Hunter at Tulane beat Wichita today. And Ron Hunter in the American, they're 6-3 right now. Again, they did not win a game. Mike Dunleavy Sr.'s final year. They are 6-3. So Ron Hunter, cheers, my man. And the dancing, shit, that was good. That was good.
One of the most entertaining coaches in college basketball to have a conversation with. Ron Hunter, also responsible for maybe my favorite NCAA tournament moment of all time, when he fell off a scooter because he had a torn Achilles from celebrating when his son hit a game-winning 3 against Baylor. Unbelievable moment. Shout out to Ron Hunter. Let's go to UTO.
All right, I got a different one today. This is to a man that got his jersey retired at St. Bonaventure. And I sent you guys a picture of him earlier today. This guy's name is Marquise Green. He's a school record holder in assists and steals. He was a 3-time all-defensive player at St. Bonaventure. But that's not why. This is a man that defined an era, the worst style in history. And we're going to have this picture. I sent you this picture earlier today, and it's going to show up on the screen. He defined the long shorts, the mid-calf shorts. This is an era where guys still wore long sleeve T-shirts under regular sleeve T-shirts. This is 2004. We're still doing that, apparently, according to Rob Dauster. But
come on, man.
This is part of it. This is the year that the Carter, Lil Wayne's first rap album, came out. He defined an era. So congratulations to Marquise Green. He had a 15-year pro career, played for all the great teams in Europe. So good for him. Cheers to you, sir. Congratulations. Definition of an era, 2004, the Big
Marquise
Shorts.
Green. And no, it's not a Pabst Blue Ribbon. Whoever's asking in the chat, it's a Blue Moon.
It's something blue. It's something blue. All right. So my cheers is going out to Mike Young and the Virginia Tech Hokies. They've had a rough year. Everyone thought that this was going to be the year that they kind of broke through. They've had a really, really rough season, but they went into Tallahassee today. They beat Florida State by 13 points, and they did it while shooting 18 for 25 from 3. 18 for 25 from 3. I don't know if I could walk in a gym. Yeah, I don't know if I can walk into a gym right now and shoot 18 for 25 from 3 without any defense. T.O., I don't know if T.O.
could do it.
No question. That's easy. That's easy right money. Now, you let me know. Left-handed, I'd get close.
Oh, come on.
By myself, nobody guarded me. Come on, Dauster. Don't disrespect
the kid
over here.
18 for 25 from 3. Hudson Couture hit 9 of them. So nice win for Mike Young. Nice win for the Hokies. I think we all can agree that Mike Young is another one of the more entertaining characters in college basketball. Toast up to the Virginia Tech Hokies.
I was going to toast to Kirk Reset today, to be honest, for finally making a shot and looking like he had made like 25 straight the way he reacts. And I can't wait. I'm going to see him in person Thursday, guys. I cannot wait. I mean,
maybe he has a headband for you, Jeff.
He better
remember when he promised you a headband.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm up with the headband on.
Ask him on it.
We're going to be twins, me and Kirk Reset.
All right. So anyway, listen, this has been the Field of 68 After Dark. If you're still watching, please hit that like button, leave a comment, do something to interact with us. It really does help the channel. It helps more people find. It helps more people find. Smash that like button, even
retweet button too.
Go ahead and smash that like button. But anyways, Field of 68 After Dark.
And then hammer Dauster. All right, smash the like button. Then go ahead, take a shot at Dauster.
Show's over, Dagan.
just like who was
show's
his name?
Over.
What was his name?
Which guy?
The guy who you said sucker punched you. Fluff.
Oh,
Fluff McIver.
You got punched in the face by Fluff.
We gotta bring guy named Fluff beat the shit out of Dauster.
No, he didn't. He didn't beat the shit out of me. He did not beat the. I don't know. Do I want to? I don't know if I want to tell that story right
now.
No,
you don't.
That'll need. I need.
But we'll get Fluff on. I can track Fluff down. We're gonna get Fluff on and see if he remembers.
Do you want me to text him? He does remember, and he gets mad every time I bring it up because like he works with kids now. So.
Oh no! Don't tell him that. Forget it. No,
we need a face-to-face with Dauster.
We don't need him to lose his job.
Yeah. No, he's a good guy. Like
great guy.
Fluff's a great guy. I've spoken with him, but the best part about it is there's like only certain people that are going to know who Fluff is.
Right.
That's why and a lot of them already hate me anyway. So, Dagan, are we done yet? Can we
12:19? We got to get off by 12:20.
We got to get off. To end it, Dagan, please. Right. I've been trying to end it for 5 minutes.